Today, big news for Symbiogenesis. Also, what is Symbiogenesis? This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. Time for distraction.
Yep, having a normal one.
Maybe someday, and I think it's going to be soon, when Warner Brothers declares bankruptcy and sells off the Looney Tunes characters, whoever picks up the scraps can finally release the fully completed Coyote vs. Acme movie that they trashed for a tax break. Not even the first monstrously short-sighted instance of Hollywood accounting WB has undertaken, and certainly not the most recent, as WB Games announced the closure of 3 game studios earlier this week. WB Games San Diego was working on a now-canceled, exciting new AAA free-to-play cross-platform game. Player First Games was working on the recently returned and then abruptly canceled Multiversus. And finally, the one that hurts me the most, Monolith Productions and their long-developed Wonder Woman game have both been put out to pasture. I'm going to run you down a list of game titles, just for reference. No One Lives Forever, Fear, Condemned Criminal Origins, Tron 2.0, Shadow of Mordor. These are among Monolith's legacy of absolute banger titles, but under WB's mismanagement, they haven't released a game since 2017's Shadow of War, announcing that they were working on a Wonder Woman game in 2021, but now have nothing to show for it. Especially galling when CEO of Global Streaming and Games, JB Perrette, said the company would be focusing on 4 pillar franchises going forward, one of which is DC. But, whoops, not Wonder Woman, just Batman. In a company email, Perrette said they would focus on, quote, fewer but bigger franchises, a plan that absolutely ensures utter cataclysm at the first point of failure, so great thinking there, JB. Apparently, this plan will help them, quote, regain credibility and swagger, and I can't imagine anything more insulting to hear as an employee who was just fired than my boss's boss's boss telling me it's so he can get his swagger back. But Perrette continues, quote, getting our swagger back happens one high-quality game release at a time. Something one could argue is easier to do if you focus on the now seemingly non-existent middle-budget games. But Perrette further continues, quote, our financial credibility gets rebuilt one fiscal quarter at a time, delivering what we said we would deliver. Like, for example, a game based on one of your 4 big pillars developed by a lauded game studio that you announced 4 years ago. That kind of thing. Wow, I really hate Warner Brothers.
As we head into the 4th year of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, we're also witnessing a new offensive in the ongoing battle between Twitch and Russian streamer Kirill Konstantinovich Malofeyev, aka Likrit. Back in 2022, Twitch enforced sanctions on Russia that included ceasing payments to Russian streamers, tactfully offering to make good on any debts they owed as soon as they were able to. But Likrit's not your run-of-the-mill former League of Legends pro, and a polite mass email to every Twitch streamer in Russia wasn't good enough for him, because his father is the oligarch Konstantin Malofeyev, and that means lawyers on retainer. Malofeyev the Younger initially sued Twitch in June of 2022 and was unsuccessful, but tried again 4 months later and won, thanks in part to new Russian laws created to counter sanctions. The Russian courts decided that Twitch violated Malofeyev's rights, and they ordered Twitch to restore his account or pay a compounding fee that doubles weekly. As a parent, I can sympathize with wanting to ratchet up the consequences for continued lack of improvement on the part of the accused, but eventually even a 5-year-old is going to call your bluff. Really, Mom? If I throw one more Cheerio at the cat, you're going to burn the whole house down? The house we live in? The house where you keep all of your vinyl records and magic cards? Anyhow, because that fee doubles, at the present moment, if Twitch were to pay the fine, it would require more money than exists on Earth. And besides that being stupid, you know what's more graceful? Compounding by 7% every hour. Ooh, doesn't hurt if you dance a little bit too, give some stuff away to the people watching the number go up. This is just free marketing tips for the Russian prosecutors. Anyhow, as you've no doubt deduced, Twitch hasn't paid this fee or restored Malofeyev's account. In 2023, he tried to serve the Turkish branch of Amazon with an enforcement action of the Russian court's ruling, but Twitch maintains that agreements they made with Malofeyev were with Twitch and not with parent company Amazon. And now Twitch has filed suit to seek protection of the U.S. courts from the irreparable harm the Russian judgment to pay more money than exists on Earth would entail. The suit claims that Malofeyev broke his contractual obligation to Twitch when he sued them and seeks to prevent any enforcement actions or arbitration. So, will this be the end of the road for young Kirill Malofeyev's quest to stay relevant? Probably not. If we've learned anything from recent events, it's that rich assholes can successfully waste a lot of our time.
Are you a fan of blockchain gaming and NFTs? Then I'm shocked YouTube suggested this video to you, but while I have you here, good news! Square Enix just announced the newest roadmap for Symbiogenesis, their art-collecting NFT mobile game thing that launched in December 2023. And even better news, the roadmap includes shutting the whole thing down in July. If you're like me and are only just now learning of this game experience's existence, then yeah, I don't know. It kind of feels like learning that King Charles's brother Prince Ethan died. Didn't even know he had that one, and this continues to not really affect me.
Hey folks, do you love gambling, prominent gambling imagery, the distinctly adult frisson that comes from always winning at gambling, and gambling-related paraphernalia? Well, don't bother with Balatro because Peggy has finally realized it is not a gambling game. As we reported here previously, Balatro ended up jumping from a 3+ to an 18+ because somebody at Peggy saw an ace of spades and shit their socks. A brief stint at the complaint board later, though, and Balatro now sports a 12+ rating, meaning Puritans can stop clutching their pearls and preteens can get back to learning Joker poker. But to be fair, maybe we shouldn't be too hard on Peggy. When you work for a game rating agency, you get to play games all day, but the downside is that you have to play games all day. And have you seen what the bottom 10% of Steam looks like? Down there in the muck? All of those games need ratings, and you need to get them out of there so they can just hit the store, sell for 90% below initial value, and then get consigned to the IKEA Billy bookshelf of history. That's definitely a rewarding job for the earnest gamer, so of course you're going to see poker hands and boss blinds and think, gambling, I'm in, and then just slap an 18+ on whatever that game was called, just so you can move on to the next one and a little closer to the end of your workday and your life. Maybe the joke's been on them all along.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Yeah, it means a lot.
No quip?
No, I'm trying something new.
Are you luring people into a false sense of security like a predator?
No, I'm trying to be genuine and kind.
Like a predator.
Obviously like a predator. Coming up, Marvel Snap is finally bringing the Marvel All-Star Uncle Ben to the table. When Ben's card is destroyed, it summons Spider-Man to the battle. No word yet on whether the Aunt May card will continue to collect Ben's hefty union pension.
So, Kathleen.
Yeah.
As the premier Marvel Snaps pilot of The Office.
Yes, I would say probably the only person who plays Marvel Snap at The Office.
Yeah, at least with any sort of regularity.
Yeah.
You were telling me that
this card is not good.
Uncle Ben's actually bad.
Well,
I mean,
sure.
funny.
Okay.
Like,
now, I will say I've already seen someone use it. I've already seen video of somebody using it to, like, I don't know, to clear another creature out of the way and then like trigger a Galactus win.
Okay.
Which is just, I hate Galactus so much. But the point being, you can watch in the video, you can see that there's a location that would be otherwise unplayable because it says when you play a card here, destroy it, right? And so what they do is very cleverly, they destroy Uncle Ben there to trigger Spider-Man, who yanks himself and a card at the location he's at away from that location. They change location. So thus clearing a thing. But the issue being, like, then the other player, the destroy player, just plays a card that wants to be destroyed there. And
yeah.
All of that clever move is for nothing.
It's a flavor win, but it's a card that wants to mechanically wants to be destroyed, but it's not actually good in a destroy deck because Spider-Man isn't the card you want for a destroy deck.
No, because they're basically, so Spider-Man goes in a move deck, obviously, because it moves. And destroy wants to know where its cards are going to be as an archetype, because what you want to do is turn lots of little cards into one gigantic card and then split it in half with Arnim Zola, which also gets around unplayable locations like that. If you could do it at the end to yank away the Zola target, it might be.
So, like, it's niche, but it's sort of like it's a card for one deck archetype that creates a card for a different deck archetype, and it doesn't really.
It's like an aggro card that creates an aristocrats card.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
So when it dies, I don't want this little thing that relies on like tick damage. I want like something that turns sideways because I'm playing an aggro deck.
Right.
Does that make sense?
For Magic.
For Magic.
If you don't play either of these games,
Destroy does not want its shit moving.
You're on Boardwalk, and you've gotten a community chest that says...
I mean, maybe, like, the thing is, Destroy doesn't want its stuff moving that much, but I will say that there's a couple of cards that are really relevant to Destroy, which is I know too much about Marvel Snap. One is X-23. When you kill her, she moves to a different location. And when you kill Wolverine, he regenerates at a new location. But, like, I would like to minimize the amount of bouncing around my stuff does when I play Destroy. But maybe they're like, just lean into it. It's a 1-drop that gives you 4 power that you could eat later, and maybe disrupts your opponent's board plan. So I don't know. I still don't think it's that good. There's 2 other cards funny, that they just released that aren't named Uncle Ben, though. So I hit the table.
It's not as bad with this table.
It is. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I can hit the table now?
I mean, don't like do it excessively. Yeah, but it isn't.
It's not as bad.
It sounds like you hitting the table, not thud.
Yeah.
Oh, because of the thick Lexan.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Like Paul said, don't like go ham with it. But it's not like the end of the world if you do. So I had a brief moment of confusion when the Warner Brothers announced that they were shuttering those 3 studios, because for years, I mean, I have a lot more confusion now because it's a stupid decision, but there's Monolith Productions, and we showed some of their back catalog of games, but there's also Monolith Soft, which is a totally unrelated and unconnected Japanese developer that makes the Xenoblade games.
Yeah.
They're completely different.
They don't even go to the same school. They just have the same name.
Yeah. And I had seen some people talking, I would say in bad faith, about...
What? On the internet?
On the internet? About Monolith. Because it's like... sure, you can say that they made No One Lives Forever and Fear and, all these other games, but the people that made those games don't work at the company anymore. And it's like, yeah, well, some of them did, but also I wonder why they would have left. Maybe because Warner Brothers has been
mismanaging,
pissing in their coffee since the acquisition in 2004. Like, it's
2004.
They've owned Monolith since 2004.
Wow, but
they've gotten bad over the last decade. Like Warner Brothers has really just been putting up mess up after mess up.
So it wasn't always bad, but basically Warner Brothers has mismanaged the studio into the ground over the past 10 years.
Yeah, really, really badly. And I know a lot of people were also annoyed because Shadow of Mordor and then Shadow of War used, the Nemesis system, the much lauded, because it was fun, Nemesis system that Warner Brothers annoyingly trademarked or patented. One of those, I think it's patented. But Warner Brothers owns the patent. So even though they're shuttering Monolith,
they're going to keep this cool game mechanic and probably never use it.
Yeah, well, they certainly haven't been using it since 2017, which is annoying. I don't know how you can be allowed to patent a game mechanic like that, but I'm not a patent person.
Can I make a suggestion to Warner Brothers? If you're going to listen to somebody, why not listen to me? I consider myself, I don't know, smart enough to know I'm not that smart, which I think is the kind of advice you need. You need to have literally anybody at this company in a management position give a single shit about the products that you make. Because the lack of passion in every decision that comes out of Warner Brothers is so obvious. It's why everybody just hates everything and why there's just so much negativity.
Unfortunately.
Nobody gives a shit. And we can tell you don't give a shit. And you're like, why doesn't Money Machine make money? What if I kick Money Machine harder?
Would you say they need to get their swagger back?
No, I'm going to say that they need to fire everyone who works there and replace them with equally qualified people who care about the Warner Brothers legacy.
Unfortunately.
Find some lady with a fucking Tweety Bird tattoo.
That's a great point, actually. Unfortunately, the executives at Warner Brothers, and I would allege most companies, are not smart enough to know that they're not smart. They are actually just not smart enough to think they're geniuses.
I hate people like that. They're like the walking Dunning-Kruger effect.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what the worst thing about being like mildly above, like slightly smart enough to know how little you know, to really, really understand that, is that, you can realize after the fact, you can be very self-aware after the fact that you're a complete boor and you're tiresome to be around. But you're not smart enough to do anything about it at the time. Because you're still not very smart.
Speaking of people who should be a little smarter, Ubisoft released a press release earlier this week, or at least a comment, not a press release, but because there's leaked copies of Assassin's Creed Shadows have gotten out there, and people have been playing it and posting pictures and stuff from it.
Wow.
And as part of their thing, they said...
Wow, do people respect Ubisoft so little?
Yeah. They said the development team is still working on patches to prepare the experience for launch, and any footage shared online does not represent the final quality of the game. Yeah, but it's February 27th, and it comes out on March 20th, so it's got to be pretty close, surely, right? Like, maybe if you're like, oh, that's a weird bug, and that might be something they fix, but I feel like you can get a pretty good handle on it, I would think.
It's coming out and... Well, it's going to seem like an eternity for every developer now being forced on to... they were already on crunch. It's Ubisoft.
Oh, yeah. 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 Hey, who doesn't crunch? It's you. No, this is not a good segue. No. But hopefully you don't. Thank you for supporting us so we don't have to crunch. At our Patreon, at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, or becoming a member on this YouTube channel. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for being here and for watching. And hey, go check out Friday Nights if you're a Magic the Gathering fan. Friday Nights is back on LRRMTG. And I don't have anything else.
No, I'm good.
Great.
Bye.
Corner